Dilip Sahni, I'm the Managing Director for Rockwell Automation in India. Our headquarters is in Noida, and from India we're responsible for South Asia region, as we call it, which includes India and the neighboring economies, which is Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. Pharmaceutical manufacturing is a very complex game, right? You have to not only balance the needs for which are applicable to all manufacturers in any industry, but you also have to keep yourself in very, very close sort of compliance to the manufacturing norms and the good manufacturing practices that have been laid out, which regulators hold you accountable for. When you talk about the possibilities which automation and information and the contemporary technologies such as machine learning and AI can bring to pharmaceutical manufacturers, the possibilities are limitless. Pharmaceutical manufacturers are trying to balance being, compliant, yet producing, at rates which are globally competitive, right? Because eventually you're making in India and supplying to the world, right? There are multiple areas. To put it in a perspective, manufacturing, two dimensions: one, critical to process; two, being critical to quality. And there's a lot of impact that automation and information can have on both aspects of manufacturing and pharmaceuticals. We can talk about number of use cases in each, but going further, and we are already witnessing, imagining pharmaceutical manufacturing without the participation of automation and information would not be feasible. This is Rockwell Automation's 35th year in India. So we've been working very, very closely, particularly in the last decade or so, as the Indian pharmaceutical industry has really come of age. Spreading its wings, we all know that. Indian pharmaceutical manufacturers are every bit global companies now, very global in their mindset. We are delighted to be partners with many of them, right? In some cases, the partnership is a lot wider. In some cases, it is focused on areas like automation. But our partnership basically is focused on unlocking business value for pharmaceutical manufacturers by working on their manufacturing processes. With some, we're working on very wide solutions, such as serialization, which ultimately have a lot of role to play in patient safety, and also the brand protection for pharma manufacturers. So there are a lot of things that are going on, which are very diverse across the entire pharma landscape. And we are finding ourselves participating in a number of those areas, some which are limited to the four walls of the plants or the factories, and some which transcend the entire pharma manufacturing enterprise. That's a very interesting question. Automation is basically all about allowing you to innovate faster, equip you with deeper insights into whatever your production, happenings are, right? And that's what we stand for. So having analytics which can allow you to, run, AI. We briefly spoke about that, on vast streams of unstructured, unrelated data that's coming in, some from your production processes, some from your business systems, some from the external world, and being able to blend them and bring out insights, right, which can then allow you to draw whatever right business conclusions are to create the right business impact. In this case, in the case of accelerating say contract research scenarios, I think why not? I think the possibilities are quite limitless. Although the use cases that spur up to my mind right now are more around how do you make manufacturing a lot more effective. This is very critical to what we do for our pharma customers, right? Because it's literally a question of what keeps the CEO awake at night is, am I being compliant to the stipulations that have been laid down by the regulator. In many cases, these are regulators such as the US FDA as well, right, who are extremely active and such. So what we do for them is basically allow them to ensure that data hygiene, data integrity, right, and managing the manufacturing workflows in a manner which is untouched by human hand, meaning the data is not tempered by humans at all. All of this is very closely observed and scrutinized by the regulator. So when it comes to assuring the quality of the production processes and the quality of the drug itself, which you and I may be ingesting, right, is assured, our systems have a lot of role to play in that. So there are two parts to this question. One is, the piece about Make in India, which we'll come to later. But how do we allow Indian companies, to conquer the world, so to say? I think we are already witnessing a lot of success with the customers we are partnering with. Let me give you a couple of examples, right? It becomes easier to talk. It is, first of all, very, very important for them to ensure that they are in very tight compliance to the regulator's expectations, and we spoke about that, right? That is one piece of it. Secondarily, what is also critical when you go out to the global markets is to assure that your brand is protected, meaning there isn't another supplier sometime from any global source that is, that's selling spurious drugs under your name, right? And there are technologies and techniques and strategies that manufacturers are utilizing, serialization being one of them, right? And we are working with our customer partners to help them implement serialization solutions, right? Which allow them to, protect the customers, protect their own brand as well, right? Then let's just talk a little bit about, making manufacturing itself, much more effective, right? So, at the end of the day, a pharma manufacturer is a manufacturer, and they worry about, the first pass yields and the throughputs and batch rejections and so forth, right? And putting strong automation practices, having tightly coupled DCS and information systems, which allow them to do that. Those are the kind of things that we are working along with our Indian, generics companies. And these are the things that are actually helping them, become much more globally competitive. You spoke about Make in India. I believe life sciences industries has always been making in India, right? They've been, in many ways of speaking, been a poster child of, this concept. I've been a witness to this industry and the application of automation to this industry now for over a quarter of a century, right? And there are distinct phases. At one point in time, there was no automation at all. The manufacturing scales were different, awareness was low, and there wasn't much of a regulatory sort of expectation. Over the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years, right? As the Indian generic companies started to be very successful in the Western markets as suppliers, they became very, very aware of the regulators' requirements. So regulation became the key overarching requirement for them to embrace automation. Now I'm beginning to find over the last 3 to 5 years that the manufacturers are not only wanting to be adopting automation and information for the sake of compliance, but also for the sake of making their manufacturing processes a lot more leaner, having lower rejection rates, having tighter line integrations, etc., etc., etc. And those are all very good things. And I think these are things which help the industry mature a lot faster. India is a very key global market for Rockwell. We were one of the earliest multinational companies to set up base in India. As soon as we could have set up a wholly owned subsidiary, we did that. Regardless of what the economic cycle is ongoing, over the last, I just completed 10 years with the company, and pretty much throughout all of those 10 years, we've kept on increasing our investment in India. We today have over 1,000 Rockwell employees across the country, and we've created a number of new capabilities in India which allow us to serve our customers a lot better. So we talked about things like smart manufacturing, Industry 4.0, investing into our capabilities to help our customers embrace these new concepts. So having domain experts who understand how these things work and could be implemented, those are one kinds of things. And then we've also been investing in India to create global platforms which allow us to have both product development as well as global engineering supported from India. So our plans here are we absolutely want to participate in the growth in the economy that is going on, maybe contribute to it. And also we look at India as a very, very strategic part of our global talent pool. So a number of people from here are supporting a lot of global programs. Rockwell clearly looks to be here. We've been here now for 35 years. And we are definitely looking at the next decade when we do our planning.